Hello, traveler. The truth is simple, but it is something most people never fully grasp. Your life doesn't change just when you adopt better habits. It changes primarily when you eliminate what is harming you, the excess noise, the distractions, the wrong people, the automatic patterns, the limiting beliefs that slowly corrode your potential from the inside out. And the worst part, almost all of this happens invisibly in our lives. It operates beneath conscious awareness, doing its damage quietly, consistently. And that is precisely why it is so dangerous. People who insist on keeping everything the way it is, who resist any disruption to their current patterns, are simply postponing the change that needs to happen. They're delaying the inevitable confrontation with what is not working. And that brings us to today's lesson. We're going to talk about 10 things you need to remove from your life if you truly want to move forward, if you want to recover your focus, your emotional strength, and your mental independence. So let's dive in. First of all, almost always the root of emotional exhaustion is people who drain our energy. And I am not just talking about toxic people in the explicit sense, those who yell at you, who insult you, who manipulate you in obvious ways. No, those are actually easy to identify. The real problem is different. It is the people who exhaust you gradually, bit by bit, so slowly you don't even notice it is happening until you are completely depleted. These people reach out to you almost exclusively when they need something from you. They're specialists at turning any conversation into a monologue about themselves, about their problems, their drama, their needs. And if you share a real problem of your own, they compete to show you they've been through something worse, something more difficult. They one-up your pain. If you share an accomplishment, something you are proud of, they give you no attention at all. They minimize it or change the subject immediately. And what is most dangerous when you finally need them, when it is your turn to lean on someone, these people disappear. They evaporate. They're suddenly unavailable, suddenly busy, suddenly unable to show up for you the way you've shown up for them countless times. So, I am going to tell you something. With people like this, you don't need to fight. You don't need to publicly cut them off or create drama. If someone exists primarily to drain your energy, you simply distance yourself gradually, quietly, without announcing it. Because people only have access to us because we permit it. So stop permitting it. Simple as that. Second thing to eliminate, the one-day mentality. Maybe you've said this before. One day I'll start that thing. One day I'll change. One day I'll leave this job. One day I'll take care of my mental health. But here is what that one day really means. It is the most elegant way of saying never. That is what it is. Never. The human brain has a natural tendency toward postponement. Procrastination is a mental escape mechanism, a way of avoiding discomfort. And the one-day mentality creates a dangerous illusion, the sensation that you have infinite time, but you don't. Nobody does. Time is the one resource you can never get back, never replenish. And when you postpone something that matters, you are not just avoiding effort. You are training yourself to accept mediocrity. You are reinforcing the habit of abandoning everything that requires persistence and discipline. And there is more. You only gain energy to do things when you begin, when you actually start moving. So when you say, one day I'll do it, you are never going to start. Because motivation doesn't arise in your comfort zone. It is born from movement, from action, from getting your hands dirty. So don't talk about how you are going to change. Don't announce that you are going to start. Start quietly, without fanfare, even with laziness, even with fear. Just begin. Take the first step and get moving. The third obstacle you need to eliminate is the need to explain yourself. Stop justifying your decisions to people who aren't even going to be impacted by what you decided. Because often we spend more time giving justifications than actually living according to what matters to us. Saying, I did this because blah blah blah, or I chose that because blah blah blah, might seem polite, might seem considerate. But when this becomes a pattern, When it is your default mode, it quickly becomes a prison. Because this desire for external approval is one of the greatest limiters of our autonomy, and the more you feel you need to convince others of the value of your choices, the more you distance yourself from what really counts: your own satisfaction, your own growth, your own alignment with your values. The truth is hard but liberating. You don't owe explanations to anyone, as long as you're not trampling over other people, obviously. And connected to this comes the fourth silent enemy, the constant comparison game. Social media, conversations, news, even childhood memories can feed this trap, because comparing your life to others' lives is a guaranteed way to undermine your self-esteem and drain your energy. Social comparison is directly linked to feelings of inadequacy, anxiety, and depression. But here is the key: spend less time on social media and avoid toxic forums. What you see of others isn't their complete reality. It is selected highlights, carefully curated moments. Comparing the behind-the-scenes of your life with the highlight reel of others' lives is a sure recipe for frustration. If you want to grow, your focus needs to be within yourself, not on the display windows of other people's lives. Stop comparing yourself and stop thinking that people's lives are only what they post online. Nobody has a dream life. Not you, not me, not anyone. Everyone's struggling with something. Everyone's carrying invisible burdens. The fifth point on the list is victim mentality, the narrative of nothing works for me. This is a silent poison that paralyzes any attempt at change. Yes, bad things happen to everyone. Life is difficult. Life is unfair sometimes, but remaining in suffering, dwelling in it, identifying with it, that is a choice, and it is a trap. People who adopt a victim posture have higher levels of stress and lower rates of personal satisfaction because they believe the world conspires against them, when in reality, the world simply continues without asking our permission. So abandoning this mentality is about taking responsibility for your own life and your own future. It is recognizing, I can't control everything, but I can control my actions. I can control my responses. I can control where I invest my energy. And if you start doing this shift in posture will transform your relationship with your time, with your disposition, with your opportunities. Trust me on this. The sixth behavior that needs to disappear from your life is involvement in useless arguments. Because the need to prove you are right in every debate is nothing more than an emotional trap. Arguing frequently not only consumes mental energy but also increases cortisol, the stress hormone. Various studies in behavioral neuroscience indicate that insisting on being right activates mental circuits of conflict that reduce our capacity for well-planned decision-making. The mind becomes chaotic. So you need to understand that often being at peace is worth more than being right. And there is more. You don't need to convert anyone to your worldview. What you need is to maintain your emotional balance, your clarity of purpose, your mental tranquility. Silent wisdom lies precisely in choosing when it is worth speaking, and especially when it is worth staying quiet. The seventh thing to eliminate is disorder, both physical and mental. A cluttered environment and a mind full of scattered information sabotage your focus and productivity. Every notification, every open browser tab, every paper out of place is a point of dispersed energy. The science of attention shows that multitasking and excess stimuli fragment our reasoning capacity, increase stress, and reduce creativity. So, organizing your physical space, turning off unnecessary notifications, and simplifying tasks isn't just about aesthetics, it is strategy. The elimination of disorder creates space for mental clarity, and this needs to be done carefully because the goal is to recover your focus, your discipline, your own energy. The eighth element that needs elimination is false urgency, the sensation that you are obligated to be available for every message or immediate request. This is a time thief. Studies in organizational psychology indicate that constant interruptions significantly increase anxiety and decrease productivity. That is why you need to train the habit of differentiating between what is urgent and what is merely important and can wait. The issue is that responding to everything instantly is choosing to live in reactive mode, reacting to others instead of directing your own life. Freedom comes largely from the capacity to recognize that you don't need to be available to the world all the time. There are moments to act and moments to withdraw, to reflect, to create. If it is not your child needing help or your neighbor's house on fire, the world can wait. The 9th point is the habit of overthinking. Reflection is powerful, but excessive rumination paralyzes, because overthinking doesn't solve problems. It only multiplies your anxiety, uncertainty, and indecision. People who overthink create endless hypothetical scenarios, revisit past mistakes, and anticipate possible future failures, losing vital energy in the present. The solution is to train the muscle of quick decision-making. Analyze, choose, act, and adjust. Done, life is movement and quiet. Consistent movement is more valuable than endless analysis. Every decision made at the right moment, even if imperfect, is already a step toward freedom. Don't ruminate in search of perfection. The 10th and final habit is people-pleasing, saying yes to things you hate or to people you don't like, just from fear of disappointing them, is a form of self-betrayal. This posture is linked to social anxiety and low self-esteem, creating an endless cycle of frustration, because nobody was born to please others. Freeing yourself from this habit means learning to say no without guilt whenever necessary. Establishing clear boundaries is prioritizing your own well-being. People who constantly place others' expectations ahead of their own needs live a flavorless life, draining their own energy and losing their autonomy. Self-respect begins the moment you stop sacrificing yourself just to avoid making others uncomfortable. Now that you understand the 10 silent obstacles draining your life, know that identifying them isn't enough. The real power lies in how you eliminate them, silently and strategically, without drama, without unnecessary confrontations, without seeking anyone's validation. The first step is taking complete responsibility, and here is where the silent strategy comes in. You eliminate each of these elements gradually, almost imperceptibly, without creating conflicts, without attracting attention, without justifying anything. Each small adjustment, when applied consistently day after day, generates impressive cumulative effects. Every day you assume control of what you can control and ignore what you can't yet, without guilt and without justification, because it is not about changing everything at once or creating a perfect environment. It is about small daily victories. Stay safe, traveler. I'll see you on our next journey.